Hello and welcome to an In Conversation with. My name is Emma Smith. I'm the project manager with Empowered Conversations, which is a project of Age UK Salford. I'm absolutely delighted today to be in conversation with Jenny Harris. Jenny, thank you so much for giving your time.
Oh, pleasure. Delighted to be here. Thanks, Emma.
And thank you everyone for coming along as well to watch. The plan for today, if you haven't been to one of these before, is I'm going to give you a tiny bit of background on the work of Empowered Conversations. Then we're going to hand over to Jenny to share her work on the exhibition Our Long Goodbye. And then we're going to make sure that Jenny is quiet for the last 15 minutes so that you can ask any questions. I hope that sounds okay. Jenny, sound all right for you?
Sounds good. Yeah, great.
In the nicest possible way of being quiet, obviously. So if you haven't met us before, we empower families affected by dementia to live as well as they can with dementia. And we do that by delivering communication courses. We have empowered conversations and moving beyond words. We also run regular webinars like this. So we'll have practitioners, we'll have people with lived experience, we'll have researchers who will come on and share their dementia related stories with us. And more specifically, we offer one-to-one dementia-focused therapeutic support for family caregivers of people with dementia. So that's us in a nutshell. Jenny, you're kicking off the 2025 series of webinars.
Ooh.
It was a prestigious spot, but you managed to secure it, so well done.
I'm going to try and set the bar high, but I hope I don't let you down.
You will never let us down, Jenny, never, ever. So I'm going to hand over to you, Jenny, if that's all right, to make a start.
That's brilliant. Well, hello, everybody. This is weird because I've never done one of these before where I can't see who I'm speaking to. So I'm just know that you're there because you're chatting. And it's lovely if I say things and you add little chat bits or do more thumbs up. I don't mean about every sentence, but just so I've got a sense of the life in the webinar, because that would be absolutely brilliant. I'm a needy person because I'm a performer and I just need a lot of like me praise. So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about me if that's okay. I'll keep it brief. And then I'll tell you about my exhibition and what made me create it and what I want to happen to the future of it. And I've sent over some pictures that are part of the exhibition beforehand to Emma and 2 short films. So if it's okay, I'll share those as well and say a little bit about those. And like Emma says, I'll leave some time at the end for questions, and hopefully people will have questions or observations or just comments. It'd just be really useful to hear that. So yeah, so I was really delighted to be invited here today. I actually, full disclosure, me and Emma go back a little while because I used to work, and I'm still on the board of a theatre company called DIY, which is a group of adults with learning disabilities based in Salford at the Angel Centre. And many years ago, almost in a previous life, Emma worked there as well with a different hat on. So Emma and I go back quite a long time, and I am a freelance drama practitioner based here in Manchester, and I've worked for many years, like 30 plus years, because I'm old now, on many different projects with lots of different groups, very diverse. So I've worked, like I said, with people with learning disabilities. I've worked and still do work in schools, quite a lot of special schools, but not only special schools, a lot with primary kids. I work on projects where I use drama and storytelling to promote inclusion and a sense of connection and connectivity and feeling more confident. And in about 2014, I started working on a project called Storybox, which I think some of you might be familiar with, which is a creative dementia program, not just theatre based, it's kind of multi-art form. So we think if we go in and say we're going to do theatre or drama, it can put people off. And also not everybody loves doing that. So we do a little bit of craft, and we do a bit of singing, and we do a bit of spoken word, and we always have different themes. And it's like I say, it's quite in the moment project about just meeting people where they're at and appreciating that everyone can be creative through the whole of their life in a very positive frame way of framing it. And I love that work. And I was very lucky to work with Emma on Empowered Conversations during COVID on a couple of the online sessions. So we re-met and reintroduced ourselves there, and I got involved in that work. And that's all been fantastic, and I still do that work now. But during the time of me getting to grips with the dementia world and doing creative dementia stuff in care homes and hospitals and community settings, my mum started showing signs of dementia. And that was quite a worrying time because my parents at the time lived in Brighton. It was a long way to go and visit. And, you know, a few months would go by and we'd go down and visit, and we'd just notice more and more things slipping with my mum. So, you know, personal care and fridge management and very obvious things that were going, as well as memory. And I persuaded my parents to move up from Brighton because my dad was poorly at the time with cancer. I persuaded them to move up because I was worried that I just needed to be a bit nearer and keep an eye on them. And I managed to get them a place in a care home in North Manchester. My dad's since died and my mum is still in the care home. And my mum then got a diagnosis about 8 years ago now of Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. And then, of course, COVID happened. COVID happened and my dad died. And my dad's funeral was the first day of lockdown, which was obviously awful timing. Me, along with thousands of other people in this country and across the world, facing awful times when we couldn't be with people. But it was really stark in terms of my mum, because by then her Alzheimer's was quite advancing quite a lot. And I just couldn't be with her. And it was terrible. So I was visiting her through windows of her care home, and I was having to phone up, but she often couldn't speak on the phone, and it was complex and she didn't know who I was. And I started taking photos of my visits and kind of recording this. And I think I did that just for me, just to almost say, I'm here, I'm still visiting mum, my mum's still here, she's still in this world. We can't connect with each other physically, but I've got a record of these visits. And so I started taking a lot of photos. And then when I could go inside and when restrictions were started to get lifted, I carried on taking photos just on my phone here, just with an iPhone. And I started taking photos and I got a bit obsessed with certain parts. I did ask her, by the way, in terms of consent. I said, Mum, I'm taking photos of you, because her sight was going, because she's got macular degeneration through her diabetes. And she did say it was fine to take photos. So I started getting quite interested in like the texture of her skin, like on her feet or on her hands. She's always had very immaculate nails. And suddenly some photos I realized I was more interested in her nails because her nail varnish was peeling and she would have hated that. So there was a lot of stuff I was kind of noting around the dignity or lack of dignity of someone living with dementia. And the fact it was now my mum, that I'd done all this and still do this creative work in dementia, and I was celebrating being in the moment, but being in the moment with my mum was actually really hard and really sad. So I felt like I wanted to do something about this, and I was showing an artist friend some of the photos, and she said, oh, these are really interesting. And I said, do you think so? And she went, yeah, I think you could do something with this. So somebody told me about a pot of funding in the Arts Council called DYCP, which stands for Develop Your Creative Practice. So you have to show some kind of step change as an artist. So obviously I'm a drama person. So I said my step change was exploring photography, because I'm not a photographer. I've always loved photographing people that I know, like my kids and things, but I don't know anything about cameras or anything. So I luckily got the funding, because it's a very competitive pot. And I managed to get funding to work with a photographer who I'd worked with a lot. And I also worked with a creative director and writer. So with those two people, I created some creative writing. I picked 10, and in the end, I sneaked another one in. So I created an exhibition of 11 photographs, which meant something for me, which I'll show you in a minute and tell you why I picked those. I did some creative writing and some exercises with this director. And then I made some of the images into 2 short films. Part of that, I created a little film that's actually got a little moment of my mum consenting. I think it's consent, because I actually film her asking about, would it be okay to make an exhibition, Mum? And she kind of goes, oh, yes, that would be very interesting. I think a lot of people are talking about it at the moment, aren't they? And I felt like that felt like consent. And my mum, all my life in my childhood, had always created photo albums. So I felt like it was sort of like a full circle, that suddenly I'm showing photos of her. That it felt okay to me. I think she would feel all right about it. And I had, because I was involved and still am with a care aesthetics project at Manchester University, I had an offer of a space to show this exhibition at the Whitworth Art Gallery, which was great, because that's obviously a lovely space, but for one night only. So I just did it last December for one night. I invited a few friends, a few academics, a few people that I knew from the dementia world, and got their feedback. And actually the feedback was really overwhelming. It was like people talked about it having really universal themes. It wasn't just about dementia, it was about joy and love and life and grief and mothers and daughters and relationships and a whole load of stuff, way bigger than I think I thought it was going to be. So on the back of that, I was spurred to do more with it. So I've gone back to the Arts Council and I'm trying to get project funding. And I've managed to get 4 different venues to agree to have it this year in 2025. So Waterside Arts Space in Sale, and the Wellness Centre in Kirklees in Huddersfield, and Central Library. Thanks for the love heart, Sharon. Central Library want it for 2 months in the most central space of the library as you go in, which is fantastic. And also the Arts for Recovery in the Community, the ARC Centre in Stockport want it. So I'm really tough with that. The downside is that the Arts Council have rejected me twice, but apparently that's very, very normal. So I've put it back in for 3rd time, so 3rd time lucky. And even if I don't get the funding, I'm definitely not going to say no to 2 months at Central Library. I will make it happen somehow. But I would love to do the tour of all the 4 spaces because it's great. And when I do the exhibition, I'm going to offer creative writing workshops for other people affected by dementia, because for me it was so massive to do that with this. I worked with a woman called Lowry, let's get her name right, Lowry Evans, and she's done a lot of really exciting community projects in loads of different spaces with non-artists and artists, and she's just really good at getting to the nub of a subject. So me and her together are going to run creative writing workshops, and some of the writing, either anonymously or with people, if they want to put their name to it, will become part of the exhibition as well and will sit alongside my writing. So the exhibition is a bigger thing than just me and my mum. I thought that was really important, that what I'm trying to do with it is get a collective voice about stories of dementia and open up a world that I think a lot of people often don't see. So that's my main background and context to the exhibition. It was initially called The Long Goodbye, and I was quite happy with that, because although I know that's controversial, often within the dementia world, I think the long goodbye is quite seen as quite negative, because it's like as though you're saying goodbye to somebody and you're finishing them off before they've died. And whilst I get that that's really can be negative, and my creative work is all about being in the moment and celebrating the person and their livelihood and their personhood, the reality of being a daughter with someone with dementia and living through it is very brutal and very painful and very sad. And I do feel personally, I'm not, oh yes, I'll tell you the dates, Ruth. I will tell you the dates, and I'll come back to that in the questions. I'm not saying that it's like this for everybody, but for me, I do actually feel like I am saying a long goodbye, and I have been saying that for about the last 7 or 8 years. And now it's at a really painful point where my mum almost doesn't speak. She can't see, she can't hear. It's painful. And I wanted there, not all doom and gloom, but I wanted to shed some light on what that looks like. But I also wanted to include some joy. So I'm hoping when you see the films that there's a mixture of that. You can let me know, because if I haven't got the balance right, that's something I could work on. But anyway, I think that's probably, oh no, I'll just go back to the long goodbye. So I thought it was okay to call it the long goodbye. And then the Alzheimer's Society advert came out last year of the same title, The Long Goodbye, and it got a lot of stick. And I did feel like it was a very challenging advert, and I didn't particularly agree with it. They might have done it to try and raise awareness and get more funding and shake people up, but it started with, so I don't, if you haven't seen it, and I'm sure most of the people in this space probably have, but if you haven't, it's a constant reminder of somebody talking about the first time my mum died, and then the next time my mum died, and then the next time she died. And I just thought, oh, that feels very hard-hitting and very negative, and I didn't feel okay or comfortable about having the same title for my exhibition. So I'm a member of DSERG, which is why I was saying hello to Ruth later. And somebody in DSERG, Anne, one of my colleagues there, said, well, why don't you just change the word the to our? And I thought, oh, that feels a lot better. So thank you to that, Anne. I changed the word, so it's now called Our Long Goodbye. So just a bit of a reasoning about the name. And again, I'm interested to know what you think about the title. But anyway, if it's okay, Emma, and I don't mind what order they come, if we share the pictures. I've not sent them all over, but I've sent a few of them over to Emma. And I'll just speak to them and say, yeah. So this was one that I almost made reference to before, called Pink Nails, Pink Jumper. And it was just a time when I saw my mum. I was fascinated in the skin on her hands and generally aging and what that does to our skin. But just the fact that her nails, if you can see, are quite, the nail varnish is kind of fading and going. And that's not me judging the home. They paint her nails sometimes, and I paint her nails sometimes, but and that's great. But I just felt like, oh, if my mum could see that and knew the state her nails were in, she wouldn't be happy with that. And so there was a sadness about that. But I also liked the pinks. I liked the pink blanket and the pinks in the jumper, and the pink nails. So that was a reason why I chose that one. Just to say that when I produced these photos, working with a photographer, she showed me different ways that you can actually produce images. So they're actually, some of them are really huge, and some of them are on board, and some of them are on this acrylic, which gives them a very kind of shiny look. And one of them has a light box behind it, which really just like highlights all the colours in the photos. And a couple of them are just very small, like you would have on your mantelpiece. So I've done quite a range of different ways of producing the photos, which was really great. Thanks, Emma. Next photo. I'm happy for you to, show the next one. Is that annoying for you to have to?
It's a bit clunky, sorry.
It's clunky, fine, don't worry. So this one, this was my idea actually, to highlight these shoes that my mum had. So they really are gold, but they're not as gold as this. And the person at the print place where we got this produced just really made them as gold as he could find to make them stand out. And the photo is called Party Shoes. And it's just an interesting photo. This is my mum's room where she is currently in her care home. And I chose to have it all in grey because I do see it as quite, sometimes, not always, quite a sad image. So she's there on her bed, which can be obviously raised to get her in and out easier. She's got her walking frame, which she doesn't really use now. It's too hard for her. But at the time she was using a frame. There's the landing mat there. So if she did fall out of bed, last night she had a fall, for example, and I got a call from the care home. She has quite regular falls, and if she does fall out of bed, that sets off an alarm, so they come quite quickly. And then just behind the bed is a box, and on there are some nappies, but they're just there. There's just like these nappies there. And then there's these shoes, and I'm thinking she did buy them for her sister's 80th birthday party a few years ago. And they're these, so I called it party shoes, just thinking she's never going to go to a party again. And I find that just breaks my heart. But I just thought the contrast was quite interesting if I made them really gold against the sepia of her sleeping in her bed. So that was why I chose that one. Oh, that's the one, by the way, that has a light box behind it. So if you don't know a light box, it's just like it sounds, like a very powerful light in a box, which if you put behind a picture, really makes all the colours that are there really vivid. So the gold stands out even more, which is a great contrast. So so that's that one.
It is really striking, the contrast from the shoes to the room.
Yeah. And this one's just called My Mum, and I just liked it. It was just in the lounge at the care home because she was talking to me at the time, and A, her nails look nice, and B, I like the fact how she's pointing because she was being very definite about something that she was saying. She has quite a lot of hallucinations, which I wasn't happy to share as part of the exhibition. Didn't feel okay, although I have filmed some of that because I think it's interesting. And she also has Charles Bonnet syndrome, which is when your eyes, you can tell she's talking with her hand, indeed, Bianca. When her sight, when anyone's sight starts going, I don't think this is dementia specific, by the way, I think, but Charles Bonnet syndrome is when your brain starts giving you messages as though you're seeing things that you might have been seeing already when your eyes stop seeing them. So she does quite a lot of pointing and reaching for things and grasping things. She's very clearly grasping things when she's grasping them. And so often it will be things from her past. So the other day she was doing something and it was about stamps and collecting stamps, which her and my brother used to do. And she was very clearly holding a stamp in between her thumb and forefinger and then putting it on the side of the chair. And quite often it's wine because she used to love drinking red wine, which sometimes I still sneak into the home, even though I'm not meant to. And so she's very clearly holding things. So this was a time when she was, I think, having a conversation or telling somebody something. And I just like the gesture. Brilliant. Thank you, Emma. Okay, so this for me was one of the very first photos that inspired the whole reason to do this and think about this could even be interesting, because I found it interesting, which is this photo was possibly one of the first photos I took when I could get to be in a space with my mum after COVID. So whenever that first relaxing of rules were, I can't even remember how many months went by. But my dad had died fairly recently, and my mum, you know, her eyes are open. She was awake, but I felt like she was so far away from me. I'm really close to her. I'm as close as I could get on a chair next to the bed. But she was so far away, and I think she was properly depressed because she was with my dad for 50 years, and they just had their 50, I want to say 53rd, but it might have been 56th wedding anniversary. Anyway, they were together several years, and she was very clearly very sad and not talking. And I just thought, God, I'm so near to you, but I feel so far, because she wasn't, you know, often when you lose somebody, you're quite happy to look at pictures of them and invoke memories together and talk about them and share happy stories. And we have never done that because she's not able to do that. And that for me has just been really hard in terms of my grieving with my dad, about my dad, but also for my mum as well. She does still talk about him. And the other day, having not talked to me for weeks and weeks and weeks, she was talking about some hairdresser that she wasn't happy with. I think this is a memory, not the hairdresser in the care home. And she said, I don't even think they're trained. And she said, I'm going to go. And she went to get up. I'm going to go and speak to Dad about it because I know he'll have an opinion. So she thinks my dad is still there. She said he's in the building somewhere. So she thinks he's still alive. And whilst I find that very sad, it kind of gives me a bit of a comfort, because I think she wasn't agitated about that. She was just like, oh, I need to go and find Ricky. So I think I think that gives her some kind of comfort, thinking he's still there. But at this time, I found it very sad that I felt like I couldn't connect with her, even now I was able to be in the room. So yeah, that's that one. This one just tickled me in terms of messing with your head. So she'd been, after my dad died, they shared a flat in this care home, and then she was in residential on her own while my dad was in the nursing part of the care home. And then my dad died, and she was deemed to be really ready to move into the dementia wing, which they've also got there. And we were moving her, and this mirror was about to go up on the wall but hadn't yet been put on the wall. So I'm sat opposite my mum, and I suddenly thought, that's really weird. I can see my mum's legs and my mum's frame on the ground, but in a mirror that's normally higher up. And it just looked really odd. So I quite liked it. And then you've sort of got the tissues that look like they're sitting on a mirror, but that's because they were on something obviously behind the mirror. And the photographer that I work with, who's called Hilary Easter Jones, she was fascinated by this photo, and she said, if ever you make this into a bigger exhibition, you must make this into the kind of image to go with the poster for the exhibition, which I don't know if I'll do, but I don't know if I'll make it into the image. But I did think it was an interesting photo. So yeah, that was why I chose that one. And this is a photo of a photo, so apologies, I haven't got the actual one to share, but I think you could still tell the sense of it. This was when I was visiting my mum in COVID, and I was allowed to visit through a window, and they had like a loud, this is when her hearing was much better, and they had a loudspeaker, so I could speak on my phone and phone their phone, and then she could talk to me through that. And it was only when I took a photo of her. It was only when I got home that I realised I could see my reflection in the window in it. And I just really liked something about that. So I called it Me in Mum and Mum in Me. And also, I think my mum looks quite happy and quite nice and just nicely presented, and she's wearing a nice top. So I just really liked it. I like the fact that behind her, that's the activities room at the care home, and they just allowed people their own private space. Yeah, so I just liked the look in her eye, and I liked the gaze, and I then liked realising that I was in it afterwards as well. Thanks, Emma. Yeah, so this, along with the one where my mum's holding the blanket and not particularly engaged with me, this is the other photo that inspired me to do the exhibition, which I think is called How Did It Get to This? Or Emma, you've got the titles and I can't remember the title of this one.
Oh,
How
sorry.
did it? That's all right. Don't worry if that's a hassle to find. Something like how. Yeah, how did it get to this, or how did it get to be like this? Just because, and it was quite sweet in a way, but the care worker who was with my mum had, well, I'm presuming, but I'm saying obviously, like, placed the nappy for the next change for my mum on a little sort of cushion. It was like I'll just put that there. I mean, that's my interpretation. It might be that they just dumped it there and left the room and didn't even realise. But it almost looks like they've placed it there and it's sort of like sat on this cushion and it's waiting. And I just thought that was a bit like, I don't know. There's just something about this image of my mum on a quilt. And also, how have we got here? That's interesting, Sharon. And also, I like the texture on my mum's foot of her skin, because I just thought that was really interesting. So my mum would never have been the kind of person that would have had her bare feet out. She would have always had her tights on and her shoes on, or maybe her slippers in the house. But she's not the kind of person, she was not, no hippie. She was not going to be wandering around the house with her showing her bare feet. So I just thought, yeah, there's just something there that is so not my mum, the nappy and the feet out. And yeah. Is that all of them, Emma?
No, sorry, there's one. It was how did it come to this? Yeah, you were right. Oh, there's a picture of you. Do you want me to show the picture of you? No, I've got one here. Got one more. This one.
That's called Best Friends, just because my mum's always loved monkeys. And as her Alzheimer's has developed, she, bye Ruth. Bye Ruth. She has got more and more into cuddly toys and very sensory, obviously. So we bought her a cuddly monkey. And I just love that because she just so enjoyed cuddling it. Now she doesn't engage with things like that. They're on a high shelf as well because so much stuff went missing from her room. That's a whole other story of dementia, another side of dementia. But yeah, so I quite liked how pleased she was to get that cuddly toy. And it's got very big eyes.
Am I putting the video on?
Yes, please. So basically, I decided to make 2 films as well. And one of them, which if you've got a choice, then if you show the one in conversation with my mum first, this is one where in the exhibition there's a bench, or this is my what I want it to be like, which is what I did at the Whitworth. There's a bench with headphones and people are invited to put the headphones on, and it's called Visiting Mum. And I wanted people to have the feeling that they were in the space with me at the same time. And it's trying to show, it's very short, it's trying to show what a typical, then it's changed now, but what a typical visit with my mum looked like and how difficult conversations with people with dementia can be. Oh no, this is the longer one. Oh. Sorry. It's the one called Visiting Mum.
Can I show this one?
Yeah, you could show this one.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so that's that one. And then the other one is the visiting mum one. That's fine. Tell me what it's like, Mum, when you've munched and mouthed. Did you just say lots of munching and mouthing? What, when you're eating? Does it take up energy?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's quite hard work.
Is it? It's hard work if you've got to chew something that's crunchy. What else makes it hard?
Well, that's about all.
Is that about all? So do you feel like you need to sleep now
Yes, I think so.
after eating? Well, if you fall asleep, I'll say goodbye and I'll come and see you again.
Yes, okay.
Is that all right? But
That's all right.
I love you.
Love you too.
Got something in your eye.
Yes.
What is it? So those are the two films. I think if I do this as when I do this as a bigger exhibition, I'll have a look at that comment in a sec. But when I do this as a bigger one, we're going to re-edit those films because some criticism was that those images were so fast, and I partly did it fast thinking out of respect for my mum that people can't linger on the images so long, but actually I think it's a bit too fast. You know, the back-to-back ones where she's asleep, I think it's just a bit like, oh, what was that, so I think I would stretch that and make that longer, make each image be seen for longer. And also I'm going to get a new piece of music that's specially written for it by the same composer, just because I think his music is really interesting. And yeah, and I'm also going to make sure that the film of my mum consenting is spliced in to start at the start of that film, because I think the consent bit is really important for an audience to see, rather than me just saying, oh, my mum says it's fine, it's quite good. But because that's embedded in another film, I haven't shown that today. Yeah, so that's probably, I know that's only 5 past, Emma, but there's been a few things coming up and a few people asking what the film was called. So if we stop there and I address some of the things that have come out already and then open it up for any other questions, is that good?
I think that's perfect. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. And I loved all the little love hearts and little comments coming through, because that just is just, yeah, it's very reaffirming when you can't see people. So the first film, Gemma, was called Do You Know I'm Here? And then the second part was The Biggest Love Story. Oh, I know what I haven't done. I haven't shared any of the creative writing. So if I can just read one bit of that, Emma, before I go into questions.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah. And the reason it was called The Biggest Love Story is because when Lowry worked with me, what she did quite a lot of was getting me to write quite a lot of lists. So lists is a really good way to write, because it's not like writing in full sentences. You can just do stream of consciousness writing, and you don't have to think about it or think, am I being a good writer here? Or if I'm writing a poem, does it rhyme? It takes all of that away. So a list is just but, this is what I'm thinking. So she got me to write what it's like to be a mother, which is interesting because obviously thinking about my mum, but also I'm a mother as well. So I wrote this, which is, it's very short, don't worry. What it's like to be a mother. It's the biggest love story. It's tiring. It's heart-wrenchingly hard. It's the best thing ever. It's gorgeous. It's deep pride. It's relentless. It's overwhelming. It's always being happy to see them. It's being present. It's remembering every small thing you ever did with them. It's achingly painful and beautifully warm all at the same time. So I wrote that about my mum. That's making me feel emotional. I haven't read that out loud for a long time. But the first line of it is, it's the biggest love story. So I thought I'd put all the images of the selfies with me and mum together and call it The Biggest Love Story. So that's why that title was there. I've got other writing. I'll just read one more, which I think is really interesting, because some of the writing I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and then we edited it and we made it better, because that's what you can do. But this is almost unedited, because Lowry just asked me to write about the exhibition. This isn't ... and this is ... and this is almost came out of my mouth, and I just said it and wrote it down, and then and we pretty much didn't edit it. So and this is on a very big board as part of the exhibition. This isn't a sob story. This isn't a woe is me tale. This isn't designed to make you cry. This isn't about dying. This isn't finished. This isn't everyone's experience. This isn't all sad. This isn't easy. This isn't without its painful parts. This isn't something I planned to do. And then this is about my mum. This is about me. This is about grief. This is about loss. This is about Alzheimer's. This is about photos. This is the story of my mum. This is one tiny chapter. This is personal. This is emotional. This is sad. This is funny. This is my long goodbye. So those create part of the exhibition. And there's a couple more bits, but I won't read those now. But that's just to share that, because I think that's an important part of the exhibition, that it wasn't just photos, it was writing as well. So just, I don't know if you want to go back.
We've got love pouring out to you. So Barbara said that's made me emotional too, Jenny. It feels very intimate, Jenny. It feels like you're sharing something that most of us wouldn't. Well, we might share it with family, but we wouldn't put ourselves out there and share this with everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we feel very privileged to be here, sort of listening and experiencing. Sharon's had to get some tissues.
Sorry,
Sharon. We should have said bring tissue. Jenny, why didn't we say that at the beginning? Bring tissues. We should have
tissues. I have to say, someone, because I asked for feedback after the Whitworth, and someone said you should have had boxes of tissues there.
Yeah.
So it's emotional stuff, and I think if we're all behind doors crying, let's open that up a little. I know not everyone wants to, and I really get that, and I'm quite okay talking about my feelings. Not always, and not about every subject. About this, I'm okay, because I'm finding it's helping me and it's therapeutic. So I feel if I'm feeling that, maybe other people would feel that. So let's have conversations about it, because I think so many people are struggling and on their own, and a lot of it is just not seen. And I think it's so common, and we're living for so much longer. There's only going to be more of it. It's not going to go away. And it is all those things. It's funny. I've got lots of funny stories. You know, my mum, things that you can't film, but my mum sitting in a room and a guy just walking in and sitting down like it's his room, and me going, oh, whatever his name is, I've just got to take you out now, and literally helping him out of his chair and turning him around and showing him the door, and him going, bye, like that. And it's funny little things that happen in the dementia world that you don't often see, and they're funny, and it's okay to share that. Yeah. So Barbara's saying conversations about it are so important. Yeah.
They really are.
So I don't know if anyone's got any questions or anything. I just want to read what Karen said, because I haven't read that.
These are so heartwarming. Stopping and being in the moment is possibly something we've never done with our parents very much. I know there were loads of lovely things about my mum that I didn't realise or notice until I made more of an effort. Something that dementia gave us as a glorious gift.
That's nice. Yeah, absolutely. It does make you stop, doesn't it? It makes you stop and really be present with that person, however painful that can be. Yeah, thanks, Karen.
Has anyone got any questions? So there's been some lovely comments and emotions being shared, which is gorgeous. But have you got any questions for Jenny that you want to ask? So if you do, then please pop them in the chat. It's really interesting, Jenny. So we've supported, in the last few years, we've supported 2 caregivers of people with dementia, both their husbands, and they've both used photography to process how they're feeling and what they're, you know, where they're at that moment, and who are they now. You know, if you're still a wife, but now you're a carer as well, and what does that look like? And actually, both of those have sort of gone off. You know, one's now doing a project around photography for other carers, and the other one is, you know, she's shared her work through exhibitions. So it's a strong medium to use, isn't it, photography?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they are photographers, but we don't. You're not a photographer, and you've done it.
I'm really not. I mean, all that Hilary, I say all, that'd be terrible if she heard that. But what Hilary, the photographer, did was mainly get me to select some photos. She gave me a little bit of a brief, like come back with 10 photos that mean something to you. And that changed a little bit over the process of getting it together. And then she just helped me with a bit of editing. So like I say, the gold slippers thing was actually my idea with the sepia background. So I'm proud of that because it was a creative idea. But she did quite a lot of, well, this photo would look really good if you included that amount of furniture, but got rid of that and that. So she just did a bit of that, like how you frame things and maybe homing in on things. But she didn't come and take any photos, and I didn't take new ones for it. We only worked with my existing footage, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's all just shot on an iPhone, and then just it's really about how you edit it, and again how you produce it can make it obviously to a higher standard in terms of gallery standard.
Imagine.
Oh,
sorry. I was just going to say, imagine the party shoes looks really effective with that lighting.
Yeah, really good with the light behind it and really big. It looks fantastic. Yeah, really good.
Exhibition dates, please.
Okay, right.
I know you've not got the funding, but ish. Just give people an ish.
Ish is end of June up to most of July at Waterside sale. I can properly put these and send these to you, Emma, if people are interested. And obviously, if I get funding and it all happens, I'm happy to share it with Emma and anybody. And then August, most of August at the Creative Wellness Centre in Huddersfield. And then Stockport is start of September to the start of November. The ARC, Arts for Recovery in the Community, and Hatworks in Stockport. And then pretty much all of, I think from about the 5th or 6th of November until the 19th of December. So most of November and December this year, 2025, at Central Library. So, yeah, I mean, wow. You know, I know loads of people getting turned down from the Arts Council, so I'm not taking it personally. But if they don't fund me, I could either do a crowdfunder, or obviously if anyone out there knows of other pots of money, by all means, blimey, send me some links. But I'm not a confident fundraiser, which is why I've gone to the Arts Council, and because I feel like I know their form, I know the kind of things they're asking. But you know, it is just getting harder and harder to get funding. But yeah, I haven't put the photos or creative writing or films online. Those films are just on Vimeo, and I invite people privately to them. And I think I haven't done that yet because in advance of the exhibition, I don't want to do that. I want it to be like something that that I would put out and get properly produced on a good website or something by someone that isn't me, because I'm so not, you know, if I did it, it would look a bit rough and ready. And also I want people to come to the exhibition first and then see it. So yeah, so that's the kind of thing I think I'd do on the back of the exhibition. But I'm happy to share things. I don't know where people are based. I'm happy to come and talk about it. I've come to other organisations. I was at So Many Beauties Festival with an example of a couple of photos. I'm happy to, I've got the writing and the photos, and I'm happy to talk to organisations about it or do a talk.
Well, Gemma's from the Gadham Centre, so I'm sure she'll snap.
Okay.
She'll be typing now 1,000 miles now. Yes, please.
I'm happy, Emma, if you want to share my email with people. I've got a website, Jenny Harris Drama, the worst website in the world. It's just one page long, but it's got my contact. It's got a contact on there.
Jenny, are you planning to sort of voice over, you know, your creative writing? Are you going to record you reading that? Because that's powerful.
I think someone else said there should be an element of my voice in it, reading that. So I think that could be something that I could look at as part of the exhibition. And also what the woman, Michelle Keeling, who curates all the exhibitions at Waterside, said she'd really like, when I first met with her and I took her some examples of the photos, she went, I love hearing your backstories about the photos. So I think when I do the exhibition big, I'm going to produce, whether it's laminated or whether there's a QR code or a mix of both, something about the anecdotes and the kind of context of some of those things. So the ways that I've been speaking today, but a bit more succinctly, I think I'll get some of that produced as part of the process of doing it, because I think there's a lot more behind the photos, and also some of the feedback from the Whitworth was that people would like to know a bit about my mum and her life like pre-dementia. So I thought that's quite interesting. There could be a paragraph about her or our life together growing up or something. So yeah, and I think there's going to be another photo produced that will be, again, my mum pre-diagnosis, which I think is maybe a missing element of the exhibition.
Oh, you and your mum pre-diagnosis?
Oh, me and my mum, maybe.
Yeah, or both.
Younger, or both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's why it feels very intimate what we've shared today, because you know, we've had the images and then you've told us the story behind it, and it
Yeah.
takes it to the next level, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nicholas, thank you so much for sharing. So heartwarming and personal. Look forward to the exhibition at the Waterside. There you go, Nicholas, booking on there.
Yay.
Sharon loves the beautiful photos. Gemma's really enjoyed the music, and I think that would be gorgeous. Your spoken word over the film and photos. Yeah, I think that would be really impactful.
Yeah. 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 And I did do some other bits of writing that didn't end up in the exhibition, but I did have those where I'm speaking as well. On the like basically I had a process film that didn't sort of cut the mark for the exhibition, but some of that I think we'll splice some of that into kind of having that as part of the exhibition, because that's me reading as well. So yeah, a mix of my voice and other people's. Yeah.
So using technical language of us saying splice. I'm
Splice.
going to splice that.
Get me.
Does anyone, it feels like we're sort of moving to a natural end. Does anyone have anything else they want to ask Jenny? Or, I mean, you've been very gushy today, everyone. So thank you for sharing so much love and
Yeah.
emotion in the chat. It's been lovely. But if there's anything you want to ask, now is your moment to do that. As I said, this is our first webinar, so we're kicking off with the best, Jenny. You've raised the bar. Everyone else has got to get to that level.
I'd try.
We've got more coming up in February. Oh, so Barbara said, thank you, Jenny. Processing feelings through whatever creativity we have is so powerful. It's given me team thoughts for moving beyond words cut. It's given I was reading it and there's a few. Yeah. So Barbara leads on with Margaret, and Claire leads on moving beyond words. So she's thinking about that creativity and how we connect with people when word understanding and use becomes quite minimal. So she's thinking about that creativity that they bring into moving beyond words. You know, how do we still connect? Can it be music? Can it be movement? Can it be touch?
Yeah.
Oh, can you tell us the website again, please?
Yes, that was a bit quick, wasn't it? So it's jennyharrisdrama.co.uk.
Jenny Harris is a drama. Is
Jenny
a drama.
Harris, not is a drama.
Is
Jenny
the drama.
Harris drama.
Drama
So
Jenny.
my name plus drama.co.uk. Yeah.
Joe said you mentioned that you plan to do workshops and then incorporate the content into the exhibition. Can you talk a bit more of this, please? Oh, good, Gemma.
Yeah. So at there's going to be slightly different workshops that are offered to each of the 4 venues. So one of them is going to be a creative writing workshop with me and Lowry, and we just take people on a little journey, maybe over about an hour and a half, of a few little writing prompts. Some not necessarily, they don't necessarily have to be connected to dementia. It might just be, oh, well done, Sarah, someone who's
she's on it.
I should have done that ages
I
ago.
know I should have done it, but I was just taking the mickey out of your website name instead.
Fair enough. You can take the mickey all you like. I spelt it wrong first time. Lol. That's funny. Okay, yeah. So there's my thing. So the various different prompts, which are really just about homing in on detail and noticing and just talking about different aspects of their life. And it might be quite likely to be list led, like I was talking about. So it might be write a list of all the things that give you joy, or write a list of the times when you felt really happy, or write a list of things that make you want to scream. So it's just about getting our emotions onto the page, and then we might home into talking more about somebody that we remember, or someone who's in our lives. Or so there'll be elements of that we will glean some creative writing. And like I say, we will ask people, and it can be anonymous, so they don't have to put their name to it. Would anyone be happy for us to use some of that writing as part of the exhibition? And the idea is to have a kind of like a visual display board that gets added to as the exhibitions build. So it would start small at the Waterside, and it would get bigger and bigger and bigger by the time it gets to Central Library. And that might be anecdotes from people, or it might be a little poem or a little list. So lots of different examples of writing. That's one of the sessions. We also want to offer a session for creative practitioners who are interested in working in creative aging, because I've got now quite a lot of experience of working within dementia creatively, doing my Storybox projects and a bit of training. I also work at Chester University with my colleague, and we do work on the first year nursing degree, and they have a creative health placement. So we go in and we talk. We're not trying to get them to be drama practitioners. We're just trying to get them to understand that if they've got someone with a dementia on their ward, there might be some really quick ways, either through ethos or ways of working with somebody. It's a great placement, Sarah. Or just maybe a quick little exercise, like maybe just a thing of singing a song while they're giving someone a shower instead of doing it in silence, or reading a poem to somebody, or blah blah blah. So the creative aging workshop. No, we haven't got any dates for the workshop, Barbara, because basically once I've got the venues, well, the venues are committed to dates, but depending on the Arts Council, if they give me the money, it'll all go ahead, and then those workshops will be in the dates that I'm at those venues, if that makes sense. So there would be a workshop offered for creative practitioners on creative aging work, and just exploring that work. Why do we do it? What are the benefits of it? How to get into it. So I think that's really important for emerging artists and other people wanting to carry on in this work. And then we'd also offer separately a creative writing workshop. So there'd be 2 things offered to each venue, if that makes sense. So once we know, like if the Arts Council says no, and I don't know, 2 of the venues say they can't do it for that reason, and it ends up just being in 2 venues, then it will be smaller. So I'm not deciding dates now for the workshop. Waiting on the Arts Council. So how do we find out in the end? So I've just resubmitted.
I'll tell you, Barbara. Be right. I'll tell you.
Yeah, come on, Barbara, pin me down. I've just pressed submit yesterday for the 3rd time to the Arts Council, and it's about an 8-week turnaround. But both other times I've heard 6 weeks later. So I am hoping that by the 1st week of March, I will have an answer from the Arts Council. If that's a no, it's plan B, which is either crowdfund, go back to the venues, see if anyone else can stomp up some cash. If that's a no, I'm just going to pay for a bit of money, definitely, to get it to Central Library, and I think Waterside. Don't tell the others, just because at Waterside is where it's going to launch, and they've pledged to pay for drinks for the launch event. Why would you say no to that?
What's Barbara say? What's the date for that? What's the date? I'll be there. I think we should all spend a second just crossing our fingers and sort of putting it out there. Come on, Arts Council.
Yeah. But also, I did write to the venues telling them that the Arts Council had said no for the 2nd time. And creative wellness woman wants a meeting with me next week online. So I'm hoping that will be interesting. And also the woman from ARC phoned me. I was just in the middle of a meeting, so I said, let's speak this week. And the woman from ARC had already said, if you don't get funding, get back to me. So I'm hoping that, you never know, they might say, even if it's just a small amount, to pay for something. Because obviously I'm not so worried about my time, although it is my part of my work, but I need to pay Laurie if she's doing the workshops. Ideally, I'd like a technician, because I need to actually get the things physically in and set up, and I'm not technical. So even me, I could say I could try and do that, but me trying to attach a lead to a film to show it, and headphones, it's just not my bag. So then it's not a huge amount that I'm even asking from the Arts Council, but it needs some funding. And also, if I'm going to do re-edits on the films, that all needs paying somebody to do that, and so on. So yeah, I agree, Gemma. I think they need to fund it. I think it's a really strong application, but I thought that first time round, they came back after the first time with a few little tweaks. They said, oh, it needs to be clearer, the exhibition and the workshop element. And I thought that was really good feedback, because when I reread it, I thought, yeah, that is a bit weak. So I changed it. This time round, it didn't come with any changes. And someone I know at the Arts Council said that means there were just other things that hit their priorities at the time. And she said, get it straight back in. So I've literally minorly tweaked it and just put it back in. So let's see.
I've got good vibes. Could you ask? I'll be able to say, can you get some students? Yeah, that could be part of your plan D.
That could be part of my plan B. Can be hard working with volunteers and students. That's just being honest. Yeah. That's not to say I can't do that, but yeah, absolutely could do that.
Are the party shoes going to be there? That's Sharon wants to see the
party shoes. I have got the party shoes. Oh, and also, so I've got the party shoes that could actually be displayed. There's an element that I want something quite physical there. I also got that photo of my mum hugging the monkey. I got it produced on a cushion, which is a bit twee, but actually it looks quite nice because it's such a kind of physical thing, and my mum is cuddling the monkey, and there's a squishiness about the cushion that looked quite nice. I also got produced a blanket with my mum holding the blanket, and I just didn't like it. I found it really creepy, so I just didn't show that. So but I think the cushion and maybe the shoes and maybe my mum's handbag, which always had like a million tissues and funny things in it, that they might all become part of the exhibition as well. A nail varnish bottle, indeed, Bianca. That's a good idea. So yeah, there's lots of things like that I could tweak with it and kind of just make it a bit more immersive and more to look at. You've been such a lovely non-seen audience, and it's really been lovely to feel the love and have all your things, which just kind of spurs me on to all your comments. It spurs me on to, really make it work. So if the Arts Council say no, shame on them, and then we'll just have to make it work another way.
It feels like it's going to happen, Jenny. Like there's too much momentum. You know, when something has momentum,
Yeah,
they don't come to an end because someone says no. So
yeah,
one, they're going to say yes, but that momentum is going to carry it forward. So 100%.
yeah. Here's hoping. Yeah,
You've
thank
got an
you.
audience here who want to come and see it. So
Yay! Brilliant. Oh, that's nice, Sharon. Stay in the moment. Yeah, hard to do in reality, but great. So important to do when we're faced with dementia. Yeah, be in the moment, see where they're at, meet them where they're at. All of that. It's really important. Emma, I'll obviously stay in touch with you. Look at this, almost on the nose at 2:30. I'll stay in touch with you in terms of Arts Council and dates and everything, and then you can share with your lovely audience.
I will do.
And if anyone wants to get in touch with me, my contact details are on the website.
What's the website? Have you got a website, Jenny?
I've got the worst website in the world. It's embarrassingly small, but hey, it's there. I've got a presence. And thank you so much for having me on as part of this. I really feel honoured to have been asked. So thank you. It's been
we're honoured. We're honoured to have you launch 2025, Jenny. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's lots of thank yous coming. Can we get a copy? Right, Gemma, this is going, all of you, this is going on our on our YouTube channel. So I will send you all a link to it by email, but it's going, if you just look Empowered Conversations on YouTube, you will find us. And if you follow us there, that's where we put all of our recordings. So that's where it will be. So you can watch it back. Jenny, thank you. And you can share it with colleagues as well, which is maybe what Gemma wants to do, and family members. So Jenny, thank you so much. We're wishing you like so much luck. So much positive energy coming your way, that money's coming in. But yeah, as I say, the momentum's moving. And if, whatever, let's stay in touch and see how we can support.
Yeah, fantastic. I'll be in touch. Oh yes, sorry. I didn't say my mum's name. She's called Vivian. Vivian. And you're absolutely right to ask that, Sharon, because and I do there's like a little flyer that goes with the exhibition that has a lovely photo of my mum and names her. So yeah, she's called Vivian. Thank you.
She's your mum. You're like, I told you her name. It's called Mum. It is just, wonderful. Thank you all. Enjoy your Wednesday afternoons. Take care, everyone. I hope you get a bit of sunshine if you've not had any today. And if you've enjoyed this webinar, come back and join us for future ones. Jenny, best of luck, and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, speak soon. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.